So in our previous class, previous week, we discussed about the work process administration part, which means we discussed mainly about the DVEBMGS. So dialogue, update, NQ, background, message server, gateway, spool work process. So we discussed about the 7 work process in SAP systems here. So these are the 7 work process will perform the major work in the systems, right? In that dialogue work process is the very important work process which will take the request from the user and it will process the work here, right? It will process the work. So dialogue is responsible to process the user request and everything. Updating the records. NQ, locking mechanism. Background jobs without any user intervention. All the jobs will be carried out by the background jobs. Message server, gateway, spool, work process. So we have the 7 work process in the SAP systems here. 7 work process in the SAP systems here. That's we have in the systems, right? So dialogue, update, and queue, background. So here each work process has own responsibility. It will perform only that related task only, not other task. Suppose if you ask update to perform handle the user request, update won't handle, right? So why? Because each person they have own responsibility. Also, each work process there is a transaction codes we have. Each work process we have the separate transaction codes we have to check the status, to review the logs and everything. We have the each work process there is a transaction codes. So that's what we discussed. So now today, the one more important topic is the client administration part here. SAP client administration. So what is mean by client administration? First of all, so what is client in SAP? What is client? So client is a one of the business entity. Client is a one of the business entity to to run the business, you need a client in SAP systems. So if you see here in our SAP systems, if you see here in our SAP system here, when you are logging into the SAP system here, so there is a client concept, right? There is a client concept here, right? There is a client concept in SAP system here. So this client is, so by default, you will get the 2 clients in SAP systems here. One is the 000, second one is the 001. Are the both are the default clients here. Default client here. In the default clients means SAP master clients. Here you will only have the master client. It contains the master data. It contains the master data in SAP systems here. Master data means SAP standard data available as part of the exports. The standard data will be loaded to the in this master clients here, in this master clients here, right? That is the, so client, we have the client, but we cannot run our business in these 2 clients. Why? Because client number always other than these 2 clients, right? So we can create the client, a number of clients we can create in the one system. So client number always starts with the 000 to 999, end with the 999. Any number, your fancy number we can set. So in the real time, client will provide the number, that number we have to set. But here, so we can set our own number. But in that, in this 1,000 clients, we can create in the SAP system. But 2 clients already there. So remaining 998 clients, so we can create it, right? We can use it here. But we don't need to create all the clients here. 1 or 2 clients are enough here. But trial purpose, we can create whatever you want, right? So that is the client, right? Client is a one of the abbreviation wise, client is a one of the business entity. To run the business, you need a client. To store the business data, you need a one client is required here. But you cannot log in 000001. Why? Because these 2 clients are the SAP master client. Just only you can check it out. But if you want to store the scenarios, business data, you need a client. Client is required here, right? So you can log into the client. So we can create the any other client. You can create the client here. We can create the client here. Client creation, we can perform it here. That is the first step here, which we have to do, client creation, right? So client creation, we have to do it here, right? So how to perform the client creation means SCC4 is the transaction code to create a client in SAP system, to create a client in SAP system here, right? And using the SCC4, we can create the client. Also, we can also change the client settings as well, client settings. So all those things we can do it using the SCC4 transaction code. Change the client settings here, right? SCC4 is that to create the client and also change the client settings in SAP systems here. So that is the client creation. But there is a dependency. So which means to create the client, you need to define a logical system. Logical systems we have to define in sale or the BD54 transaction code. Sale or BD54 transaction code. The first we have to create the logical system, then we have to go to the SCC4, then we have to create the we have to create the client here. So logical system we have to define it. So first of all, next, what is the logical system here? What is so logical systems? Logical systems are logical systems to identify the client within the system or within the landscape. We need a logical systems. Sir, you are creating multiple clients. Each client, the data is separate, but database is only one, table is only one. How the but data is storing into the table level here, right? So why? Because you see, this is the application layer, this is the SAP layer, this is the database layer. So multiple clients you are creating, right? So 000, 001, then 100 client, then 200 client you are creating. But the tables are only one. The data stores into the database only one. Tables are only one. But here also you have the one employee table. Ravi is there. Ravi is there. Ravi is there. Ravi is there. Then how the different how the data stores here? Why? Because here first you are storing the data Ravi here, then same Ravi data will be stored here. Again, you are storing the other from other client to same data. Then it will say like already the Ravi user is exist, something like that it will tell you. Right? Already the Ravi user is exist in the 001 client, like that it will tell you. Because we are maintaining the same table for all the all the clients activities will store the same data in same table. So then there is a duplicate. There is a duplicates here. So that is the reason to avoid this kind of things here. So we need to define a logical systems. We need to define the logical system. Why? Because the logical system naming convention will be so SID, CL and T, then client number. SID, CL and T, client number. Like that, there is a syntax. It will be, we have to create it here. Suppose NW1 CLNT 100 client, then NW1 CLNT 200 client, then NW1 CLNT 001. So when the Ravi data storing, when the Ravi entry storing from 001 client, so then NW1 CLNT 001 like that. So there is a entry will be created here. Then same Ravi employee data is creating same Ravi. So same Ravi employee data is creating here from another client, then 100 client. Like that, there is a differentiation about the client data. So logical system means to identify the client within the system or within the landscape, you need a logical system here. So there is a data which is coming to your SAP system here, which has to store into the 100 client there. Data is coming to the here. Then how to store the 100 client? Is it showing into the here or here? So by differentiating the logical system, the data stored into the field level. So each field, there is a logical system field. So it will be created, each and every entry, there is a logical system entry will be created. It will store the data. So like this, it will store the data. So like this here, right? To store the data. So like this, it will be created here. So logical system means it will differentiate the storage of the data, storing the data. Each and every client, it will store the data here. It will be differentiated. That's why we need to define a logical system, right? Why? Because here you have the number of clients, but database is only one, table is only one. But all the data residing into the only one table, all the clients' data. But in the client data, in the table, so sometimes what happens, here also same user, here also same user, here also same user, here also same data, right? So in the way, because we will do the business based upon the client only. By logging to the client only, we will do the business, right? So then here we will log into the system, right? Here we will log into the system. Then here we will store the data. Some other people, they will log into the another client, they will store the data, but both the data are same, then there is a duplicate, right? Even in our folder level, when you're storing the same folder in the file explorer, in the downloads or the documentation, in the downloads or documentation, so you have the, it will say like, do you want to replace it, or it will create the another naming convention, right? But if you have the this logical system field, what will happen based upon the client, based upon this client, based upon the client. So here one Ravi will be stored into the entry, and based upon this logical system, one more entry will be stored here. One more entry will be stored here. That is the logical system. Logical system is to identification, to identify the client data, or to identify the client within the landscape. We need a logical system feed. We need a logical system feed, right? The syntax of the logical system is like this here, like this we have to create it here, right? So whenever the data storing into the your respective client, so it will, well, based upon the logical system, your entries will be saved here, right? Your entries will be saved here. That is the main thing of the, so this logical system. That's why while creating the client, first we have to define the logical system. So then only we need to create the client here, right? So logical system means, again, we need to go, because while creating the client here, you see, so there are a lot of clients are there. Just to go to the change mode, so click on the create symbol, right? So then we can you can just fill the form here. You can fill the form here. We can fill the form by pasting the client number here. We can create our own client here. We can create our own client here by providing the client number here. By providing the client number, we can create our own client here, right? Suppose you can see what client is not exist here, right? Just you can provide the client number, right? Any description you can give it here, right? Any description you can create here. Maybe so test client, then city. So you can type city. What is the city type of the business where you are business from, main business? So that business you can type it here, client city. So logical system field here. Then you need to create the logical system field here, right? You don't have the logical system. You have the field, then you can browse it here. Otherwise, we cannot manually enter it here. We have to browse it here. So here, these are already created. That's why it's showing here. But the thing which we are looking is 100 client. It is not there here. It is not there here. So which means, so it is not there here, 100 client. So then we have to create the logical system first, right? So that is the one. So that's why we need to take the new session again. So before creating the client, go to the BD54, BD54 transaction code here, right? BD54 transaction code here, right? So click on the new entry, new entries. Then, so logical system name is called the NW1 CLNT. So client. Why? Because 100 client you are creating. Then type the 100 client like this here. NW1 CLNT 100 like that. You can type it here, right? So why? Because the logical system naming convention is SID, CLNT, and 100 client. Let click on the save button. Then it will ask the transfer request. Click on the continue. Done. So logical system got saved here. So you have created the logical system. 100 logical system you created. Why? Because you are creating the 100 client, then you need to create the logical system based upon that client only. So now go to the here. Now you can browse the 100 client here. 100 client you created, you can browse it here. Like this, you need to browse it. Currency. So currency INR, Indian rupee. So client role. So what type of client you are creating here? Is it the production system? Or so how the system will be differentiated? What is the system role? So we have the multiple system roles here: training client, demo client, customizing client, test client, production client, reference client. Here are the number of clients we have here. So based on the our usage, it's a development client, then we can use this one. It is the training client, this is the one. It is the test client, we can use it. It is the production client, we can use this one. Depends. It's a depends upon the customization. Depends upon the customizing client. We can choose the customization. Okay. So there the next one is called the so client settings here. As I mentioned, right, settings also we can do the changes. Sir, you are creating this client. Do you want to do the changes? No changes are allowed in this client. No, you means you don't want to allow the changes in this client. Then you can make it as a so no changes are allowed. No changes are allowed here. This is the cross client. Means applicable for the all the clients. This is the client specific settings. Only specific to this client only. Only specific to this client only. Right? No changes, no changes, no changes are allowed specific to this client only. Changes without automatic recording. You want to do the changes, but there is no record. Means there is no who done the changes. There is the changes without no recording of who done the changes and everything. You want to recording of the changes, who done what changes they have done, it will be recorded. So no changes are allowed. So which means so changes are allowed without automatic recording and no transports are allowed. So which means they can do the changes, but there is no recording, there is no transports also allowed. It will not ask any transports here, right? So normally production systems, we cannot do the any direct changes. That's why for production systems, we make it as a, if it is a client role is production, then definitely we have to make it as a no changes are allowed. If it is the other than that production, so we can just we can use the so customer like automatic recording of changes are allowed. Changes are allowed, which means so the people directly can perform the changes, table changes, some other configuration changes, some other any the company code changes, any changes they can directly perform in the system, right? But production, if they directly perform in the system, that is a dangerous. Why? Because production we have the business users data and everything transactional data. People cannot directly perform the transaction. That's why we have the so this type of things are there here, right? That's why we will use the client role as a demo or customization, testing. So like that we will use it here, right? So here we can, however you want to do the client settings, we can do that one, right? If your settings are closed, you cannot perform any changes in the system. You cannot perform any changes in the system directly. It will come from the development to quality to production directly. It has to come. That's why production always it should be closed status and non-production it should be open status here. Open status here means changes are allowed here. So this is the client specific objects. In the system, in one client, we have the client specific data and cross client data. Cross client data means repository data, which means which is applicable for the all the clients. And some means all the clients means if you do one changes in the one client, it will be applicable for the all the clients as well. So in that case, that is called the cross client. That is called the cross client changes. So that's
Sir, one question here.
yes.
Sir, repository object and only specific object means what, sir? One
Client
repository means what?
specific means dedicated to only this client only, 100 client only. Okay, only dedicated to 100 client only. Some developers they will do the development only specific to the 100 client only. Specific to the 100 client only. Some developers here.
Sir, you are not audible.
Yeah, you let one. Actually, I'm in online, so people are thinking me.
Okay, okay. I've been there, sir.
That's why I kept into the mute. Yeah. Okay. So thing is here, 100 client means client specific means specific to this client only, 100 client only. Means one developer, he developed a object, but that is based upon the only it is applicable for the 100 client, not for other clients. So that's why that type of changes you want to allow or not allow. That's we can do the changes here. So some developers, they will one object if they do it, that is for the all workbench, which means it's applicable for the all the clients. All the clients it is applicable. Means any client you can log in, you can do the test. Any client you can log in, you can do the testing here. Any client you can log in and you can do the testing here. Right? Any client you can log in and you can do the testing here. So no changes are allowed, no repository, no changes are allowed. That is the settings of the client. Cross client means applicable for the all the clients. Means if you do the changes here, the developer developed the changes in the 100 client, but you can also access that object from the 0001. You can also access from the 500 client. You can also object from the n number of clients. You can access it here. That is called the cross client. Applicable for the all the clients. Applicable for the all the clients. So like that is called the repository, the class guide. Some of the repository objects are there. Repository objects means company codes. So company codes are applicable. We can company codes you can access from default company code. You can access from the other clients also, not only 100 client, right? So that type of changes you want to allow. So like that, these are the settings. If you want to allow or not allow, those are the settings here,
So
right?
repository means it is shared by the entire system.
Entire system and repository
Oh,
changes and some
oh,
of the cross client settings are allowed. Repository
okay.
means which will come as part of the SAP installation. The repository, the some objects we will default some objects we will get, right. Those are shared by all the clients. All the clients can use the same object. They can use it here. But some
Oh,
objects which developed by our developers, that is only applicable for the only one client. Client specific, only one client that is applicable. So that time, the people, one person is trying to do the changes of the client specific settings, specific objects. If you want to allow, then you can keep it. If you don't want to allow, then you can make it as a not allowed, which means the person who are trying to do the client specific object changes is not allowed. If you close the client close, so then they cannot perform it. Client open means you need to. So normally daily basis we will get the request, right? So it's important for everybody. Daily basis we will get the request from the development teams and something. Please open the client. We want to perform some manual changes. Please open the client. That time you need to make this checkbox active. Second one, then so changes to the repository, then you can just save it. Okay, then they can perform the direct changes. Then later they will ask you to close the changes. Then we can perform the close the change. We can do the client settings closes. We can perform.
Sir, and suppose in client 100 they did some object changes. Now they want to do that in client 200. In that case, what should be the settings, sir, here?
No, cross client. Then we have to allow the changes. We should allow the changes here. Then we have to
Oh,
keep the changes are allowed. That's why development, all the non-production systems, especially for the development sandbox, it should be allowed. It should be allowed. Only regression and production systems, it should be closed status. It should be closed status. Why? Because development means our playground. We can do the direct changes in the developments and quality system, but not in the production. That's why we will close it. The changes will only especially in the production, we have only one client, not the more production systems. Only one client should be exist. In the real time, we will have not only one system here in the real time. In the real time, we have more than so two systems, more than three systems are there for each product, each landscape. Suppose like so we have the development SAP system and quality SAP systems, then production SAP system. Three systems we have to build it. So this client role is the development, quality, production. Some people they will maintain the only one client. Some people here they will maintain the development, they will maintain the three, four clients. So like one is the customizing client, one is the unit testing client, then they will go to the quality. Here, something like a UAT sign off, then finally it will go to the production like that. So which means the changes they will develop 100 client, it will go to the one more client here. From here to here, it will go. From here to here, it will go like that. So the changes will go to the finally it will go to the production here. So that's all. Instead of performing changes in the here directly, they can perform in the production, right? No. Production, they cannot directly perform the changes. Production, they cannot directly perform the changes because why? Because production, if they perform direct changes, it will impact the other business. It will impact the other business here. So that's why we cannot perform direct changes here. Cannot perform direct changes in the production systems. So that's why if you want to do the small changes here, you have to come from the development and the quality, thoroughly testing is nothing is impacting. Then they will move the final changes to the production system. Yeah, that is the procedure we follow in the real time. So that is the procedure we have to follow in the real time here, which means three systems we have to install, three systems we have to maintain the same configurations, same structure we have to maintain, right? So then client creations, all those things we have to do it as a business consultant here. So if they ask you to directly perform, we are directly performing the changes in the production, could you please open the client? No, you need to get the approval. So please get the approval. Let us know the approval email. Then we can open the client setting in the production. So that is the main important thing. Approvals are very important in the production. Approvals are very important in the production here. Right? So open, client to open. Why? Because if you open the client setting, so then people can do anything in the production. They can change the accounts. They can do the credits, debits, whatever they want, they can do it. That's why opening the client in the production is the very dangerous activity. That's why you need to have the proper approval. So that's why always production, it should be closed status here. So client copy settings. So there are the three settings here. Some people they will override the client settings and everything. That time we want to no restriction means it's free. Any data can override on the in this 100 client or 200 client, whatever the client. You know overriding something like that. If you want to keep it, you can keep it here. These are the normal. So like that, just you need to fill the all the details here. Just click on the save button. Then client is created. Client got created here. Data was saved. Client got 100 client got created here. See, 100 client got created here, which we created now. 100 client got created here. So here, before the client creation, logical system field is very important here. Logical system field is very important here. So that, so if the logical system field is same, so we don't have any issue. If the logical system field is created before you create the client, then we can we can directly go ahead SCC4, we can create the client, right? So then, sir, how to log into the newly created client here? How to log into the newly? So you created the client, right? It's a very simple client creation. Why you have to create the client means to run the business? Why? Because initially to log into the client, initially log into the line, we are logging to the 001 client. This is SAP standard client. We cannot do the business in these clients, right? Then you need to have the another client. Any other clients you have to create, you have to use it here, right? If you are logging to the 100 client, the data specific to the 100 client only. If you are logging to the 200 client, the data specific to the 200 client only here, right? So client base, we have the data here, right? So then, why? Because each client there is a data, separate data is there here. Some data that is applicable for the all the clients. Suppose like call the SAP standard data, SAP repository data. Some of the data, some of the objects are applicable for the all the clients, which means some of the data is shared between all the clients, right? Some people what they will do in the 100 client it is closed, they will log into the 200 client, they will do the changes of the 100 client. 100 client object, something they will do it. And so that is not possible. Why? Because 100 client is closed, 200 is open means they will log in and they will do the change. That's why we want to allow the changes here. We can put the allow the changes here. If you don't want to allow the changes to the repository objects, repository changes are allowed means, then you can keep it here. Changes to the objects are allowed. Changes to the objects are allowed here. So changes to the repository and the cross-client objects are allowed. Like that, we can do the changes here, right? This is the client settings closes here, right? So client creation is a small part in the client administration part, client creation. But sir, how to log into the newly created client? How to log into the newly created client? So what user we have to use it, right? Because here 100 client you created, that is fine. But how to log in? Which user we have to? Sir, you have the S user ID, DDIC, right? DDIC, you can use it. Then we cannot use the DDIC. Well, because you only DDIC SAP star will come only 000 001 clients only. DDIC SAP star will come only 000 DD 000 001 only that clients we will get this one, not for other clients here. Only those users will get only default clients only. Now you created the client that is a manual client. That is the customization client you created, but you won't get any data. Only client you created. There is no data here. Client you created, there is no data. In that client, how to log into the newly created client, right? So in this client, this time, what we have to do? We need to enable the SAP star emergency user. We have to enable it here. Emergency user. So we have to how to log into the newly created client. How to log into the newly created client. So here, so we have to enable the emergency user. That is called the emergency user means SAP star with password is pass. Pass is the password. We have to enable the emergency user. Sir, how to enable the emergency user? In that case, there is a new topic will come that is called the profiles and the parameters concept will come, which means in the client administration, two other subtopics will come. Two other subtopics will come here. Two other subtopics will come. One is the profiles and parameters. Second one is the RFC administration. So it means two other new topics will come here. Why? Because there is a interlinked. So why? Because to log into the newly created client, so client creation is done. I want to log into the I want to log into the SAP. I want to log into the newly created client to create the data means how to log in. But because since you created a few minutes back, you created the client only, but there is no data. Data means there are no users, right? There are no users here. Sir, can I use the SAP Star and DDIC? Those users you will get in the 000001 only, not in the other clients here. So, but you first of all you have to log into the newly created client, right? Then how? Then in this case, we have to enable the emergency user. We have to enable it here, emergency user, which means SAP Star with pass is the password. We have to enable it. Then only we can log into the newly created client. Sir, it's already enabled, right? Yeah, it's already enabled by previous batch. So that's why it's coming. Then how to enable it, first of all? How to enable it here? To enable the newly created client, there is a one parameters we have to change in our SAP systems. There is a one parameter we have to change it here, right? So where to change the parameters? What is this parameters concept in SAP? What is this profiles concept? So there the profiles and the parameters are there in SAP here. There the two types of profiles are there in SAP. There the two types of profiles are there in SAP here. One is the instance profile. Instance profile. There are the two and default profile. Instance profile and default profile. Instance friends, there are the two instances here in SAP. In SAP system, there are the two instances. One is the ASCS instance. Then second one is the application server instance, right? Application server instance, which means the instance number like that. ASCS means ASCS. Default profile, default profile. Like that, how many instances we have? Then we have that many application server profiles and one ASCS instance profile you will get. So if you want to do the changes about the ASCS, then this profile parameters you need to change. So because in this profile, you have the parameters you have to change. Shall I explain this concept or will you guys practice the client creation, logical system creation? Are you guys are okay to continue or will you guys practice this client creations, logical system creations, client settings, modifications and everything?
So I think you can continue.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so profiles and parameters. Why we have jumped into the profiles and parameters means, so client creation is done. Then to log into the newly created client, we need to activate the emergency user. But activating the emergency user, we need to change the one parameter, we have to change it. But where to change the parameters means in the profiles, we have to change it. Where these profiles are exist, what are those transaction codes and how many types of profiles are there. And all those things means here in SAP, we have the two types of profiles are there. Instance profile and default profile. Instance profile means there are the two types of instances. One is the ASCS instances. And the second one is the application server profile. Then second one is the application server profile is there, right? So then all the ASCS means message server, NQ server. If you want to do some settings, some changes related to the ASCS message server and NQ server, you need to do the edit in these profiles. Application server related. Application server, we have the dialog work process, update. You have the other things are there. You want to do the settings related to the others, then you need to do the changes about in this profile we have to edit it, right? Default is common for all the instances. Default profile contains the default parameters like what is the SAD, what is the instance number, what is the DB host, what is the application server name. These settings will be there in the default profile. It will be there. Instance profile, instance specific. In the instance profile, the instance specific parameters are there. In the instance profile, the instance specific parameters are there here, right? Those are the instance specific parameters are there here. Okay, that is the instance parameters here, right? Those are the instance parameters. So where to change these profiles and parameters here? In SAP, there are the two transaction codes in SAP here, RZ10 and RZ11. RZ10 is like a static profile. All the static parameters contained in the static profile here. So which means static means it's a permanent changes. But you need to do the restart of SAP app servers. But RG11 is the dynamic, which means it's a temporary changes only. But you no need to no need to do the restart, right? So which means in SAP, if you go to the SAP system here, so if you go to the SAP system here, if you go to the RG10 here, right? They have the profiles here. They are the profiles here, RCP, right? Restrictions here. They are the instance profile, default profile. Types of profiles are two. But here in the instance, we have the two instances will be created by default. One is the ASCS instance, second one is the application server D instance number, and third one is the default profile, right? So default profile, select the profile, go to the extended maintenance. These all are the administrated data and basic maintenance, but actual things we will do it in the extended maintenance. Click on the display, then you do the default. This is the parameter, this is the parameter name. These all are the default parameters. These all are the default parameters here, right? If we go to the instance specific, suppose like if you go to the ASCS, ASCS will not be active here, that's fine. But we cannot access from the RG11. So instance profile. If you go to the instance profile, in the instance profile, we have the password change, system name, system global host, then how many dialog work process you required. See here, some people they have changed it to the 12, right? So WP, this is the parameter name, rdisplash WP no dia. So then BTC 6, this one like that, they have changed it here, right? The values of the buffers and everything here. So there is a parameter value here. So as I mentioned previously, if you want to do the, by default, you will get the settings. We want to do the adjustments of the buffers, work process data and everything. We can adjust it by changing the profiles. So here we can go to the here, we can do the adjustments here. We can go to the here, we can import the profiles first from the active application of instance of the import the profile from the off active servers by okay. Okay, select the instance profile, change button. So here work process we have the 5. No, I don't want to 5, I want 4. No, I want to dial up BTC work processor 3. Then I want to 4. Right? I want to increase. Then copy it. Right? Go back, save it. Then go back and activate. Copy, save, copy, save, activate. So when you activate the button, so then it will tell you like, so you are affecting the activating the, so suppose like you have decreased the dialog process, you have you have decreased, then you have activated, right? You have decreased and you have increased the BTC work process, which means you have decreased and increased the work process, which means immediately if you change the parameter value, it won't affect. You need to take the effect of the respective settings. You have to restart the application server, which means this is the static one. This is the static one here, means permanent changes. You need to do the restart of the application server, then only the value will be affected. right? Dynamic. Dynamic means temporary changes only. So you are doing the changes in the RZ10 means this is the permanent changes. So that's why we have to do it in the RZ10 only here. Then you have done it now. Then if you do the restart of the application server, the work process will be increased. Suppose here you see the dialog work process, we have the 5 are there, then we made it to the 4, PTC 3 are there, we made it to the 4. One decreased, one increased. So it's fine. But how, whether it is affected immediately? No. How this will affect? You need to do the restart of the app server. If you do the restart of the app server here, only the particular application server, the work process will be increased. Here 5 are there, it will become 4 now. 5 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So like that, we can do the changes of the respective application, respective things here, right? Respective things. It's a down. Immediately it's down means you see your session got disconnected. Application server is shut down. Right? Application server is shut down here. So you need to do the restart of the app server here. You need to do the restart of the app server. Go to the MMC, then you can see the NW1 system. You can do the changes of the NW1 system here, right? You can do the changes about the NW1 system. Like that, we have to do the changes here, right? So now, see here how many. Yes, you can see now four dialogues, then 4 BTC. Sir, how the settings got changed here? You have done the changes. You have done the changes here. That's why the settings got changed to the 4 to 5 or 5 to 4 like that. Like that, we can in the system. If we want to do any changes in the system, if you want to do any changes in the system, you need to do the profile parameter changes. You have to perform in your newly purchased mobile. As soon as you got it, you do the some changes, theme changes, some ringtone changes, volume changes, everything you will do the changes, adjustments. Where you do the changes, you will go to the mobile, there is settings tab. There you will, so you will touch each and every option, right? Same as like in SAP also, same as like in SAP also. So there is we want to do the changes about the system by default settings or anything. So then you need to go to the RZ10, RZ11 transaction codes. RZ10, RZ11. So all the parameters, if you want to permanently set, you need to do changes are here. If you want to do the temporary changes, so then without restart, then restart means there is a downtime for the users. The users who are already logged in, who are going to log in during that restart time, the system is not available, right? So that is the reason RZ11 means dynamic changes. So, but not all the parameters are dynamic, not all the parameters are static. But how to identify, sir, which one is static and which one is dynamic here? Then you need to go to the, so RZ11, right? You need to go to the RZ11. RZ11. So just you can type the which parameter you are trying to change it here. So suppose like you want, suppose like I want to activate the emergency user to log in to log into the newly created client. Then I have to change the one parameter. Login slash this parameter we have to change it. Right? To activate the emergency user, we have to activate the this parameter equals to 0. You have to make it as a this parameter value to 0. Then so do the changes here, go to the RZ7 parameter to make it to the 0, but there is no change value. It's not the dynamic value. Why? Because if the change value is coming here, that is the dynamic parameter. Means you don't need to do the restarts. Then there is no change value, only display value is there here. Right? So then you have to go to the RZ11 only, RZ11, sorry, RZ10. It's an instance profile, right? Just to go to the select the instance profile here. Extended maintenance, change, click on the create parameter, check whether your parameter is there in the display or not. It's already there with 0. If not there, then go to the click on the create, enter the parameter value, enter the value is 1. Maybe you can make it to the 0, then copy, go back, copy, go back, save, save and activate. Go back and save, activate. Then your parameter was saved and activated. But thing is, we have to do the restarts. We have to do the restart of the application server. Then only we can log into the SAP Star Pass. But not all the parameters are static and dynamic. So how to identify, how to test means go to the RZ11. Then when you type the parameter value, if the value is coming, change value is coming, that is the dynamic parameter, which means the changes are already made. Changes made temporary only. It's not the permanent, right? It's not the permanent here. The changes we have done. The parameter in RG11, the which parameter which is coming a change value is coming, that is called the dynamic parameter. You can online also you can change it. The value which is coming, it is not coming as a, so the change value is not coming means change value is not coming. Then that is not the dynamic value, that is the static value. You need to do the changes in via RG10. RG10, you need to do the changes here, right? That is the static parameter. So like that, in our SAP system, if we want to change any profiles, parameters, any settings, we have to come to the RG10, RG11. Then we have to do the settings here. Then only the value will be affected here. Then only the parameter value will be affected here, right? That is the RG10, RG11 changes in the SAP system here. Okay. That is the RG11 and RG11, RG11 and RG10 here. Here see this parameter also there is no change value. So, but how to identify means go to the RG11, then put the parameter name, execute the value change. If you are able to change it here, then this is the static. If you are not getting the change value, this is the static. There is no change value is coming. This is the dynamic value. So they are the two types: static parameters, dynamic parameters here. Static parameters means definitely you have to do the restart. Dynamic parameters means no need to do this, but it's temporary only. Yeah. So they are the two types of profiles: instance profile and default profile and application server profile. Instance profile, default profile, application server profile here. Right? There are the two types of profiles are there here. One is the SM51, if you do the changes, here we can do the changes here. Not the SM51. So like that, we can create the client. To log into the newly created client, coming back to our queue, you need to enable the emergency user. How to enable the emergency user means you need to change the one parameter value. So where to change this parameter value means in RG10, we have to change the parameter value. It should be 1, but we have to change it to the 0, then restart the application server. Then we can log into the newly created client. Just log into the newly created client, either 100 or 200 with SAP star and PASS pass is the password. Right? You are able to log into the newly created client now. Right? Now you logged into the newly created client. Done. Right? So that is log into the newly created client here. Okay. So like that, we have to change the parameters and values. Right? So today we discussed about the how to create the client, what is the client, how to create the client, how to create the logical systems, then how to log into the newly created client by changing the parameter name. Way to change it in RZ10, RZ11 transaction codes, we have to change it. So there the profiles are there. Inside of the profiles, there the parameters are there. Those parameters we have to change it. In the settings tab, if you go it, we will get the sub tabs. Sub tabs are called the profiles. If you click the one sub tab volume button, you will get the multiple sub parameters you will get. That is called the parameters tab. Okay, sub parameter. Inside of the one profile, you have the n number of parameters are there. So those parameters depends upon the your business. You need to change the values. Okay. So today you can practice how to create the client, how to create the logical system, then how to log into the newly created client. Up to here, you can practice it. Okay.